We all expected GTA 6 to be the first, like, $100 game, or maybe even more. Like, we were kind of bracing ourselves for some really ridiculous price because, you know, it's GTA 6, biggest game launch literally of all time. Rockstar could probably get away with charging whatever they want. People would pay it, yada yada. So it was at least a little surprising when they ended up offering a much more reasonable $80 edition. Of course, there is the more expensive special edition with more content and all that stuff. And it does seem that, like, according to polls and stuff, it does seem most people are going to opt for the more expensive edition because, again, it is GTA 6. And it kind of is true that people are going to pay whatever it takes to get GTA 6. But at least there will be an option for more frugal gamers to purchase the game for only $80. Thing is, that came with a little caveat. It seemed that physical copies of the game are not physical copies of the game at all. This is the first case of a big, giant AAA game, the most triplest A game you've ever seen in your life. Dare we even add another A to this game? Dare we finally do what Ubisoft has been trying to do for years now and call this a quadruple A game? This at least 3.75A game will not be available physically at all, in any form, ever, at least not officially. Rockstar Games will never print a physical disc version of GTA 6. What you buy in the store, there will be a box, but it's going to be a code in a box. For such a high-profile game, this is completely unprecedented. For this game to basically only be digital. It's crazy. And I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for a lot of reasons. But the point of the video is not this. This is old news. I mean, this is the all-digital future, baby. This is just the future we live in. Since then, Sony just had to one-up them and be like, we're going all digital, baby. No discs for anything ever again. And so now, like, the reality of that is starting to set in, and we're starting to really pay attention to this stuff. And, funny story, it seems, at least it currently seems, that in Japan, the quote-unquote physical copies of, you know, the boxed copies of GTA 6 are going to have an expiration date. That you heard me correctly. The codes in the boxes of GTA 6 in Japan are going to have a very short expiration date. It seems that those codes are going to expire after 170 days. And no, that is not 170 days after the purchase of these games. That's 170 days after the release of GTA 6. GTA 6 is going to release. There are going to be a bunch of boxes in stores containing codes that are now on a timer. They have an expiration date, like the hot dogs in your fridge. And when I first heard this, my knee-jerk reaction was to be a little bit skeptical, and there's still like a little part of me that's like, what if this is one of those stories where someone got the idea in their head and they spread it and it kind of seemed official and everyone kind of ran with it? Maybe we're jumping to conclusions here, you know, maybe someone in charge, someone who knows what they're doing is going to look at this and be like, oh no, of course it's not going to be that way. Of course we're going to, even if there was like a reality where this could have happened, we see that it's going to happen and we're going to make some kind of change. At least at the moment, though, this does seem legit. At least for now, this does seem like a real thing. And it's a weird legal thing. I do not understand it, but it's just like it's the Japan Payment Services Act. It's something like whenever a company is selling like a prepaid code, prepaid goods or services, they have to give half the value of that stuff to the Japan Legal Affairs Bureau. I don't know, it's some consumer protection thing. But basically, it forces companies to give part of the value of their goods to the Bureau, but they can get around this by putting an expiration date on the codes, which is a little weird. It's a consumer protection thing, And the answer is to make the goods being sold to consumers less good, increasing the chances that the consumer will be left high and dry. Yeah, I really don't understand it at all. Point is, though, they put an expiration date on this stuff, and that somehow lets them get around it. The code has to expire 6 months after being issued, and so, yeah, 170 days. These codes are going to expire after 170 days. So we're already really coming to terms with the fact that a digital purchase is not ownership. It is a purchase, but what you're purchasing is a license to access this digital content. And of course, that license can be revoked at any time, and you do not get your money back. So that's already a very ephemeral kind of thing. But now this code in a box like this, a code in a box, it may as well be a butterfly floating out of the ether. It could just go up in a little puff of smoke before you even have time to redeem it. This code in a box is a wisp of smoke. It's the last truffle seed. You have to just get it somewhere safe so you can plant it immediately before it's too late. And it's just amazing. It's comical, you know, like these companies making these announcements, one-upping each other, and then just at the same time, we start getting all of these examples of why these announcements are bad, why an all digital future is such a bad idea. I mean, like, you couldn't write this stuff better, you know? They want us to be okay with an all digital future, and yet they are doing absolutely nothing to make that future look any better. If anything, it's like they're purposefully trying to show us how terrible that future is going to be. It's like it's a sitcom at this point, the way it's being written. And even if this specific case does end up resolving somehow, even if they do end up somehow making some kind of exception and the codes in the boxes aren't going to expire after 170 days. Of course not. Of course they're not gonna. What are you, silly? Even so, it just holds a big magnifying glass over the lack of ownership when you purchase a digital game. It holds a humongous spotlight on just how ridiculous this whole thing and how bad things are about to get. This is not going to be the last case of something like this happening. This is not going to be the last article you read about some ridiculous digital ownership snafu where just like people are going to buy a game and they're going to lose access. The code is going to expire, or the license is going to expire, or the servers are going to go down and people are going to lose it. They're going to delist the game. It's only gonna get worse unless something changes, and I don't know if anything will change, but I hope you have a good day, though. I hope something nice happens for you today, and I hope you're not living in Japan hoping to pick up a boxed copy of GTA 6. That's definitely one thing I hope.